Kara, you got any news from the Wasteland?
The United Arab Emirates, in the face of increasing desertification and the dwindling habitability of their country, is turning to drone-based cloud seeding to slightly improve rainfall. Other countries, including China, South Korea, Thailand, Indonesia, and multiple U.S. states, have been using these techniques for years to try to make it rain more, or in some cases, like Indonesia, less. Average temperatures in Dubai regularly surpass 115 degrees, but it only rains 4 inches per year. The effectiveness of cloud seeding technologies in general has been hotly debated in the scientific community, even as they become more sophisticated.
So, using these drones, apparently this has been going on for a while. Why do you think it's just hitting the news now? I mean, I know there's probably been snippets, but it kind of hit in a big way these past couple of days.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's probably, well, for one thing, there were some just videos that came out recently of like cloud-seeded thunderstorms, basically. And also the technology has changed a little bit. Like, they've been doing more sort of traditional methods of cloud seeding involving, I want to say, silver nitrates, just sort of injected into the air, which we do, which lots of people do, farmers do it, all kinds of things, and it's of, pretty marginal effectiveness. But so they kind of moved away from that to something that's much more sophisticated and really sort of very Dubai-centric, because the problem with rainfall in Dubai is that they get lots of, well, they don't get a lot of rain, but the rain they do get, the droplets that are smaller, it's so hot they tend to evaporate before they even hit the ground. So what they do is they use drones that emit this electricity to sort of like statically condense the rain so that the rain, the droplets are larger, basically. It's not more rain, it's just the droplets are larger, and that means they reach the ground and they actually get into the water table, and therefore the water is usable instead of just turning back to vapor and, continuing on its merry way throughout the jet stream like it normally does.
So, throughout history, I was watching some history show about trade routes and fishing on rivers, and that there were straight up wars because the fishermen would recreate the river in a way to catch the fish and then use those fish in the local economy. But the way they dammed the rivers to do it would cause a problem for the, merchant flow. And I can't help. So I was talking to my wife. This is where I'm going with this. I wonder how long it'll be until we see some sort of wars based on climate. Because couldn't it be argued that as this rain falls there, it's evaporated back up, then it moves on and falls someplace else, but now it's not going to?
Yeah, so I have two answers to that. In terms of wars based on geoengineering, I don't know, that's not really clear, because the perspective is like, it's unclear how much this actually does, right? And it's certainly like pretty meager in the face of like the threats of climate change. Sure. In terms of wars fought over unintentional geoengineering, i.e. climate change, that's been happening for a while. The Syrian civil war largely fought because of drought, which, I mean, obviously there were other causes. There's always other causes.
I'm talking about wars between countries that matter,
Yeah, well, millions of refugees.
I'm not coming down on the Syrians. I'm not coming down on the Syrians, but the Syrian war doesn't necessarily have the global implications that a war between China, U.S., Russia, these mad grabs for, I mean, what if...
Maybe not, but
what if the day comes that all of the United States thinks like California about the climate?
Sure.
And China does not. And we say, we're doing everything we can, China won't stop. It's like, I'm looking at it like that.
If we go to war with China, it'll be over real quickly. So
that's true. Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's not going to be a long drawn out thing if two superpowers go to war. It's just going to be everyone in the world dies except for, like a couple people, and they have to pick up the pieces.
Well, a lot of people seem to be looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And then, still on this topic, sticking with drones, not necessarily climate change. Did you watch the opening ceremonies of the Olympics?
I did not.
They had a wild thing above the opening ceremonies where they had 1,800 drones making a perfect sphere of the globe. And they were just flying in such intense unison that it was really quite amazing to look at. And then on the way back from Tennessee, Jake and I both on the airplane watched like Olympus Has Fallen or whatever the third movie is in that series, and there were like these drone swarms with like and I thought that was really cool, and I figured we must have them. And then after watching the Olympics, I'm all, oh yeah, we got them.
Yeah. What's funny about this whole thing with like cloud seeding is like in the long term, the costs of doing this are of course astronomical, but also drones, the energy costs are huge. So like in terms of not making the world hotter and making the problem even worse, it's probably not efficient, right? It's like doing this is purely a short-term fix. It's just going to make it worse eventually.
Yeah, is it windy there? Couldn't they do it with balloons or some sort of gas, kind of cut on a lot of that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Dubai's thinking too much about renewable geoengineering techniques.
That's true.
Which,
That's true.
It would be nice if they were, but Dubai is also, it's Dubai. Like, they're more into excess.
Right. The use of energy has me thinking about, I'm getting I listen to a lot of conservative talk radio, and
sure.
And I think we talked about this a little. I was listening to a whole show about how electric cars cause more damage to the environment than anything else, but it was coming from a radio show that didn't necessarily believe that we were changing the environment. So I found it incredibly frustrating that they were just...
Yeah, there's no way that's true. That's wrong.
Well, they were just throwing arguments. It was more like they were arming their listeners to fight with other people in society more so than they were talking about the news or spreading the news. The entire show felt like they were arming their listeners. Yeah, and I wonder how often that goes on the left also, because I just don't think I'm as apt to see it.
Well, yeah, I think on things that are truly the left a lot, but I think a lot of times people think of like CNN as the left, and it's not. CNN is just milquetoast and boring, and yeah, I would say they would have a liberal bias, but they also bend over backwards to like try to be neutral at all times. Whereas something like Fox News, it's like, hey, we're here, we're conservatives, screw you. Like, they are outwardly dedicated to spreading right-wing talking points, and there aren't a whole lot of equivalents like that on the left. It's mostly news outlets that are liberals, yes, but they're like news people first. So, which isn't, to say I respect their integrity. Like, they've got, there's huge problems. It's all corporate owned. It's all horrible, but like, their goal is not to spread propaganda. Their goal is to make money. Unlike something like Breitbart, free to use, funded by billionaires. Like, I don't know that it makes any money, really. It's there to make the population more amenable to lowering the taxes of the people who pay for it.
I see.
Which is, I think, the case of most of the right-wing media ecosystem, and there's not a whole lot of equivalents on the left. MSNBC, some podcasts, but the left is way behind, frankly, on that kind of thing.
Well, if nothing else, we can all enjoy that. In 20 years, we'll laugh about this when we climb from our holes in the ground when the sun goes down and barbecue and eat a dog together that we found.
Yeah, exactly.
I was getting a little bit tired of all their droning on. No, wait. How about now, that's what I call a game of drones. How about romancing the drone? Yeah, that one doesn't even make any sense, man. In the end, they were just flesh and drone. Hey, guys, could you drone it down? Ha ha! You're good!